For decades, the idea of controlling computers with nothing more than your thoughts belonged firmly in the world of science fiction. Brain-computer interfaces appeared in films as futuristic devices capable of connecting the human mind directly to machines. Today, that vision is becoming reality. While much of the public attention has focused on implanted brain chips such as NEURALINK, another revolution is quietly taking shape. Around the world, researchers and technology companies are developing non-invasive brain interfaces that require no surgery at all. Instead of placing electrodes inside the brain, these systems read neural activity from outside the skull. The race is no longer simply about connecting brains to computers. It is about discovering the safest, fastest, and most practical way to merge human intelligence with digital technology. Brain-computer interfaces, often abbreviated as BCIs, create a communication pathway between the brain and an external device. Every movement, decision, memory, and intention inside your brain is produced by electrical activity. Billions of neurons constantly exchange tiny electrical signals that together create thoughts, speech, movement, and perception. A brain-computer interface attempts to detect these signals, interpret their meaning, and convert them into commands that a computer can understand. Traditionally, brain interfaces fall into three broad categories. Invasive systems require electrodes to be implanted directly into brain tissue through surgery. Partially invasive systems place electrodes beneath the skull but outside the brain itself. Non-invasive systems operate entirely outside the body, using sensors positioned on the scalp, around the ears, or integrated into wearable headsets. Each approach offers different advantages and limitations. NEURALINK has attracted worldwide attention because implanted electrodes can record neural activity with extremely high precision. By sitting close to individual neurons, implanted devices capture detailed electrical signals that may eventually allow users to control computers, robotic limbs, or communication devices with remarkable accuracy. The technology has already demonstrated promising results in helping individuals with severe paralysis interact with digital systems. However, implantation requires neurosurgery. Although modern surgical techniques continue improving, any operation involving the brain carries risks including infection, bleeding, inflammation, and long-term maintenance challenges. These realities have encouraged many researchers to ask an important question. Could comparable performance eventually be achieved without entering the skull at all? This question has become one of the most active areas of neurotechnology research. Instead of inserting electrodes into the brain, engineers are developing increasingly sophisticated sensors capable of detecting neural activity through the scalp. Recent advances in electronics, signal processing, artificial intelligence, and materials science are dramatically improving the performance of these systems. Electroencephalography, commonly known as EEG, remains one of the oldest and most widely used non-invasive brain monitoring techniques. EEG records electrical activity using electrodes placed on the scalp. Although its spatial resolution is lower than implanted systems because signals must pass through bone and tissue, decades of research have established EEG as a safe and reliable method for monitoring brain function. What has changed is not the underlying science, but the technology surrounding it. Modern dry electrodes eliminate the need for conductive gels. Flexible electronics improve comfort during extended use. Artificial intelligence extracts increasingly useful information from noisy signals that would previously have been discarded. Together, these advances are transforming EEG from a laboratory tool into a practical consumer technology. Other techniques are also advancing rapidly. Functional near-infrared spectroscopy, known as FNIRS, measures changes in blood oxygenation associated with brain activity. Magnetoencephalography detects tiny magnetic fields generated by neural currents. Ultrasound-based approaches are being investigated for both sensing and stimulating neural activity. Researchers continue exploring entirely new sensing methods capable of improving signal quality without surgery. Artificial intelligence has become the driving force behind many of these developments. The human brain produces extraordinarily complex electrical patterns. Extracting meaningful commands from these signals requires analyzing enormous amounts of data in real time. Machine learning algorithms excel at recognizing subtle patterns that traditional software would struggle to detect. As computing power continues increasing, non-invasive systems become progressively more accurate. Several companies are pursuing different strategies. Some focus on medical rehabilitation, helping patients regain communication following neurological injury. Others target gaming, virtual reality, and augmented reality. Industrial applications include controlling robotic systems, monitoring cognitive workload, and improving human-machine collaboration. Consumer electronics companies are investigating future wearable interfaces capable of replacing traditional keyboards, mice, and touchscreens. The concept of human-computer synthesis extends beyond simply controlling a cursor with thought. Researchers envision systems capable of adapting continuously to their users. Instead of pressing buttons or speaking commands, future computers may anticipate intelligence by analyzing patterns of neural activity combined with eye movements, facial expressions, and other physiological signals. The relationship between humans and machines becomes increasingly collaborative rather than sequential. One promising application lies in accessibility. Individuals with severe paralysis, motor neuron disease, or spinal cord injuries may eventually benefit from non-invasive systems, allowing them to communicate, operate computers, or control assistive technologies without requiring surgery. While implanted systems may provide higher performance for some medical conditions, wearable alternatives could expand access dramatically because they avoid surgical procedures. Education represents another potential area of development. Researchers are investigating whether future interfaces could monitor attention, mental workload, or learning progress, allowing educational software to adjust dynamically to each student. Ethical considerations remain extremely important, but the technology demonstrates how brain interfaces may eventually influence everyday life far beyond healthcare. Workplaces may also evolve. Rather than replacing traditional input devices entirely, brain interfaces could complement existing methods. Engineers designing complex machinery, surgeons performing delicate procedures, or pilots managing multiple systems simultaneously might benefit from interfaces capable of recognizing cognitive state and reducing unnecessary interactions with physical controls. Virtual and augmented reality stand to benefit significantly. Immersive environments become far more natural when users interact through intention rather than handheld controllers. Eye tracking, gesture recognition, and neural input may eventually combine into seamless interfaces supporting entirely new forms of digital communication. Despite these advances, non-invasive systems still face important technical challenges. Signals recorded through the scalp remain weaker than those measured directly from the brain. Movement, muscle activity, and environmental electrical interference introduce additional noise. Researchers continue improving both sensor technology and computational methods to overcome these limitations. Bandwidth also remains an important consideration. Implanted electrodes generally capture richer neural information because they operate much closer to active neurons. Whether non-invasive systems will ultimately match the highest performance of implanted devices remains uncertain. Many experts believe both technologies will continue developing side by side, each serving different applications. The field is therefore becoming less about competition and more about specialization. High-performance medical restoration may continue benefiting from implanted systems where appropriate. Consumer electronics, workplace productivity, education, entertainment, and general computing may increasingly favor non-invasive approaches because they are easier to deploy at scale. Privacy represents one of the most significant long-term questions. Brain data is among the most personal information humans can generate. Unlike passwords, neural activity reflects attention, intention, and aspects of cognition itself. As interfaces become more capable, protecting neural privacy will become as important as protecting financial or medical information. Governments, regulators, and technology companies are already beginning discussions surrounding ethical standards for future neurotechnology. Standardization will also influence adoption. Just as smartphones became universal platforms supporting countless applications, future brain interfaces may require common communication standards, allowing hardware and software developed by different companies to operate together securely. Interoperability could accelerate innovation while reducing costs. Investment in this sector continues growing rapidly. Universities, research laboratories, established medical technology companies, and emerging startups are all contributing to an increasingly competitive landscape. Progress is occurring simultaneously across neuroscience, electronics, artificial intelligence, advanced materials, and biomedical engineering. Improvements in one field often accelerate developments across the others. The broader significance extends beyond individual devices. Human civilization has repeatedly advanced by improving communication between people and machines. We progressed from punched cards to keyboards, from keyboards to touchscreens, from touchscreens to voice assistants. Brain-computer interfaces represent the next possible step in that evolution. Whether through implanted electrodes or sophisticated wearable sensors, the objective remains the same: reducing the distance between human intention and digital action. The future of brain-computer interfaces may therefore not belong exclusively to one company or one technology. Instead, it is likely to be shaped by multiple approaches serving different needs. Surgical implants may transform medicine. Non-invasive systems may transform everyday computing. Together, they represent one of the most important technological frontiers of the 21st century. The race is no longer simply about building better computers. It is about building better connections between biological intelligence and artificial intelligence. As non-invasive neurotechnology continues advancing, the keyboard, mouse, and touchscreen may gradually become tools of the past. The next generation of computing could begin not with our hands, but with our thoughts. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the forces shaping our future, be sure to explore our other documentaries examining the technologies redefining modern civilization. And if you want to keep exploring the biggest questions about science, power, and the future of humanity, make sure to subscribe to the channel and join us for the next journey into the unknown.